Victoria Hart sat in the corner booth of Bellissimo's, the city's most exclusive restaurant, watching her daughter Melody push pasta around her plate. The 6-year-old hadn't eaten more than 3 bites in 20 minutes. Around them, families laughed and talked, their voices creating a symphony of normalcy that only amplified the silence at their table. Melody's hands moved in careful, practiced signs. "Mommy, can we go home?" Victoria's heart cracked for the 1,000th time that month. She signed back, her movements fluid after years of practice. "Don't you want dessert, sweetheart? They have chocolate cake." Melody's blue eyes, so much like her father's, filled with that familiar resignation. "Nobody here talks to me. I want to go home." Victoria forced a smile, signed, "Okay, just a few more minutes," and felt the weight of failure settle deeper into her chest. At 24, she was Victoria Hart, CEO of Hart Technologies, one of the youngest billionaires in the country. She could negotiate billion-dollar deals, command boardrooms full of skeptical investors, and run a company with 3,000 employees. But she couldn't give her daughter what every child deserved: friends who saw her instead of her disability. The waiter approached with professional courtesy that barely masked pity. "Is everything all right with the meal, Miss Hart?" "Fine," Victoria said curtly, then softened. "Just a check, please." She tried everything. Special schools where Melody was the only deaf child. Deaf schools where other parents treated Victoria like an intruder. Mainstream schools with interpreters that made Melody feel like a specimen. Birthday parties where children stared but never engaged. 3 years since David died in that car accident. 3 years of solo parenting while running a tech empire. 3 years of watching her daughter retreat into silence, not because she couldn't speak, but because the world had taught her that speaking was pointless when nobody listened. Victoria reached across the table, touched Melody's hand gently. Her daughter looked up, and Victoria signed, "I love you more than anything in this world." Melody signed back, "I know, Mommy." Then, with the brutal honesty of childhood, "But you can't give me friends." The words, or rather the signs, hit like a physical blow. Before we continue, I want to pause and acknowledge something profound happening in this moment. Victoria Hart has everything society tells us should make us happy: wealth, success, power, influence. Yet she's sitting in the city's finest restaurant feeling like a complete failure. Because despite all her resources, all her achievements, all her carefully constructed success, she can't protect her daughter from the crushing weight of loneliness. This is a story about discovering that the most valuable connections in life often come from most unexpected places, and that sometimes the greatest success isn't what we build professionally, but what we allow ourselves to receive personally. It's about learning that vulnerability isn't weakness, that asking for help isn't failure, and that the family we choose can be just as powerful, sometimes more powerful, than the one we're born into. What happens next will change 5 lives forever, teaching them all that love doesn't need sound to speak. It just needs people brave enough to listen with their hearts instead of their ears. This is a reminder that miracles happen when we stop trying to control everything, when we stop pretending we have all the answers, and start letting life surprise us with its unexpected gifts. Sometimes the greatest breakthroughs come not from planning, but from letting go. Across the restaurant, Nathan Cole was having his own quiet battle with emotion. His 3 daughters, Lily, Grace, and Hope, sat around him at their table, unusually subdued. They knew what today was. 6 years old today, their birthday, but also the anniversary of the day their mother Sarah died, bringing them into the world. A small chocolate cake with 6 candles sat in the middle of the table unlit. "Daddy," Lily said softly, clutching her worn teddy bear. "Mommy would have liked this restaurant, right?" Nathan swallowed hard. She would have loved it, Bug. She loved anywhere that had good bread. He gestured to the basket. "And this bread is excellent." Grace, holding her stuffed bunny, wasn't fooled by his cheerful tone. "You're sad and happy at the same time today." "Exactly that," Nathan admitted. "Every year on your birthday, I feel both things at once. Sad because I miss Mommy. Happy because I get to celebrate you 3, the best gift anyone ever gave me." Hope, holding her stuffed puppy, studied her father with two wise eyes. Is it okay to be happy on our birthday? Nathan pulled all three girls close. She would want you to be happy today, more than any other day. She knew you. Every second she was with you. She loved you. And she gave you life on purpose. That's why we celebrate. Sarah had been deaf since birth. Nathan had learned ASL in college, never imagining he'd fall in love with his professor's daughter. They'd married young, gotten pregnant with triplets. The pregnancy was complicated, and in the end, Sarah made the choice. Save my girls. Promise me you'll teach them to sign. Promise me they'll know me. Nathan had kept that promise. His daughters were fluent in ASL, could switch between spoken English and signing as easily as breathing. They knew their mother through stories, through videos, through the language she'd given them. Can we do something nice for someone? Lily asked suddenly. Mommy always said the best way to feel better is to make someone else feel better. And it's our birthday. We should share something good. That's a wonderful idea, Nathan said. What did you have in mind? Grace pointed across the restaurant. That girl. She's been using sign language with her mommy, but she looks so sad. Nathan followed her gaze. A little girl in a red dress, around his daughter's age, sat with the striking blonde woman. The girl's hands moved in signs Nathan recognized instantly. Hope was already sliding out of her seat. We should go say hello. Girls, wait. Nathan started, but it was too late. 3 6-year-olds with matching blonde curls and pink dresses were already crossing the restaurant. Victoria was signing the request for the check when Melody's eyes suddenly widened. Victoria turned to find 3 identical little girls standing at their table, staring at Melody with open curiosity rather than the usual pity. Then the first girl, holding a teddy bear, raised her hands and signed with perfect clarity. Hello, my name is Lily. What's your name? Victoria's heart stopped. Melody stared, her mouth falling open. Then her hands moved, tentative and disbelieving. You can sign. The second girl, with a stuffed bunny, grinned and signed back, yes. Our mommy taught us. Well, our daddy learned from our mommy, and he taught us. I'm Grace. The third girl, clutching a puppy, signed shyly. I'm Hope. We saw you signing and wanted to say hello. Can we be your friends? Victoria couldn't breathe, could only watch as her daughter's face transformed in a way she hadn't seen in 3 years. Pure, uncomplicated joy. Yes, Melody signed, so enthusiastically she knocked over her water glass. Yes, please. I'm Melody. Girls. A deep voice interrupted, and Victoria looked up to see a man approaching, tall, dark-haired, casually dressed, with tired eyes that recognized her own exhaustion. I'm so sorry. They saw your daughter signing and just took off before I could stop them. Don't apologize, Victoria heard herself say, her voice rough with unshed tears. Please don't apologize. Nathan looked at the woman in the red dress, elegant, composed, clearly wealthy, and saw past all of it to the exhausted mother underneath. I'm Nathan, he said, extending his hand. And those 3 troublemakers are mine. They're fluent in ASL. My wife was deaf. Was? Victoria asked, then caught herself. I'm sorry, that's none of my. She died when they were born, Nathan said simply. 6 years ago today. She made me promise I'd teach them to sign, so they'd know her language. Victoria's carefully constructed composure cracked. Nobody ever talks to Melody. Not really. They stare or they ignore her, or they talk to me like she's not even there. Your daughter's just. She couldn't finish. Can they play with us? Lily was already signing to Melody. Do you like drawing? We have crayons. Melody looked at her mother with such desperate hope that Victoria would have agreed to anything. Yes, she managed. Yes, of course. Within minutes, the triplets had transformed dinner into an impromptu playdate. They drew pictures together, communicating in a fluid mix of signing and spoken words, with Melody's face glowing brighter with each passing minute. The restaurant staff had quietly pushed 2 tables together, sensing something special unfolding. Nathan and Victoria sat side by side, watching their daughters create an instant bond that transcended the barriers the adult world had constructed. "This is incredible," Victoria whispered to Nathan as they watched the girls. She hasn't smiled like this in, I can't remember how long. Nathan understood completely. When was she diagnosed? Born deaf. Genetic. We didn't know I carried the gene. Victoria's hands twisted together in her lap. My husband Melody's father. He died 3 years ago. Car accident. And I've been trying so hard to give her everything. But I can't give her this. I can't make other children see past her deafness. You can't make them, Nathan agreed quietly. But you can find the ones who already do. He paused, watching Hope carefully show Melody how to fold a paper crane. Sarah, my wife. She used to say that the world wasn't designed for deaf people, but that just meant we had to redesign the world. She was fearless about it, demanded accommodations, educated people, never apologized for needing things differently. I wish I had her courage, Victoria admitted. I run a company with 3,000 employees, but I can't even get other parents to let their kids play with mine. Nathan turned to look at her, really look, past the elegant red dress and the perfect hair to the exhausted mother underneath. You're doing it wrong, he said, not unkindly. Victoria bristled. Excuse me. You're trying to make Melody fit into their world. Sarah taught me something better. Build a world that fits Melody, and then invite people in who want to be part of it. Before Victoria could respond, Melody's hands flew in excited signs. Grace began translating. She says we should all have ice cream together. There's a shop down the street. The triplets began chanting ice cream, until Nathan laughed and held up his hands in surrender. I think we've been outvoted, he said to Victoria. Victoria looked at her daughter's radiant face. Ice cream it is. The walk to the ice cream shop was unlike anything Victoria had experienced. Melody held hands with Hope, signing animatedly while Grace and Lily skipped ahead, turning back frequently to make sure their new friend was keeping up. Other pedestrians smiled at the sight of 4 little girls clearly enjoying each other's company. You're raising 3 daughters alone, Victoria said to Nathan as they followed at a more sedate pace, and teaching them ASL, working what I assume is a full-time job. How do you do it? Nathan laughed, but it was warm, not bitter. Barely. I teach ASL at the community center. Flexible hours, but the pay is. He shrugged. We manage. And honestly, the girls make it easier than I probably deserve. They're amazing kids. They are, Victoria agreed, watching Lily patiently show Melody a particularly complicated hand sign. This is the kindest thing anyone's done for her in 3 years. Then people are idiots, Nathan said bluntly. Your daughter is clearly wonderful. Victoria felt something crack open in her chest, something that had been locked tight since David died, since she became both CEO and single mother, both provider and protector, both strong and scared beyond measure. I'm Victoria. Victoria Hart. Nathan's eyebrows rose slightly. Hart Technologies Victoria Hart. You've heard of me. You're on the cover of Business Weekly every other month. Nathan's expression didn't change. No awe, no calculation, just mild interest. That must be exhausting. Victoria blinked. Nobody ever called being a billionaire CEO exhausting. Impressive, intimidating, inspiring, but not exhausting. It is, she admitted, especially when you're trying to prove you deserve it. Do you deserve it? Victoria bristled slightly. I've increased our revenue by 40% in 3 years, expanded into 4 new markets, launched 2 innovative products that are industry leaders. That's not what I asked, Nathan said gently. I asked if you deserve it, if it makes you happy, if it's what you actually want, or if it's what you think you should want. Victoria opened her mouth, closed it, looked at her daughter, laughing silently with Grace over something only they understood. I don't know, she whispered. I don't know anymore. The ice cream shop was crowded with families, but they found a table in the corner. The girls immediately began the serious business of deciding flavors, while Nathan and Victoria took their orders. An hour later, Melody had eaten more chocolate ice cream than Victoria had seen her consume in weeks, and had made 3 new best friends who promised to teach her all the ASL they knew and learn any new signs she could teach them. "We have to do this again," Lily announced, signing as she spoke. "Tomorrow. Every day. Forever." "Forever might be hard to schedule," Nathan said, catching Victoria's eye with a smile that made her heart do something unexpected. "But how about this weekend? There's a park near where we live." Victoria knew she should say no. Should protect both herself and Melody from hoping too much. But looking at her daughter's face, radiant with happiness, she couldn't refuse. "This weekend," she agreed. Saturday, Nathan confirmed. They exchanged numbers. As they prepared to leave, Melody signed to her new friends with elaborate promises, and Victoria felt the weight of 3 years of loneliness finally beginning to lift. In the parking lot, Melody hugged Victoria tight, then signed, "Mommy, I'm so happy. Thank you for bringing me to dinner. Thank you for staying even when I wanted to go home." Victoria signed back, tears flowing freely now. "I love you, baby girl, more than all the words and all the languages in the world. Even sign language." Melody signed with a grin, especially sign language. As Victoria drove home in her Tesla, Melody signing excitedly from the back seat about her new friends, Victoria realized something startling. For the first time since David died, she wasn't just surviving. Tonight, she'd felt alive. Not as a CEO, not as a widow, not even as a mother, but as herself. As Victoria, who could laugh and cry and admit she didn't have all the answers. And it terrified her. Nathan put his daughters to bed that night with the usual routine. Teeth brushed, pajamas on, stuffed animals arranged just so. But tonight there was an additional element. 3 little girls who wouldn't stop talking about their new friend. "Melody is so cool," Grace said, snuggling her bunny close. "She taught me the sign for beautiful, and said I'm beautiful inside and out." "She's funny too," Lily added, hugging her teddy bear. "She made jokes in ASL. I didn't know you could do that, Daddy. That you could be funny without talking." Hope, always the observant one, looked at her father carefully. "Daddy, did you like Melody's mommy?" Nathan should have expected the question. His daughters missed nothing. "She seemed very nice, sweetheart." "She's sad like you," Hope said with the brutal honesty of childhood. "Her eyes are sad even when she smiles. Just like yours on Mommy's birthday." "She lost her husband," Nathan said gently, sitting on the edge of Hope's bed. "Just like I lost your mommy. That kind of sad takes a long time to heal. Sometimes it never completely goes away. We just learn to live with it." "Maybe you could be friends," Lily suggested from her bed across the room. "Like we're friends with Melody. Maybe you could help each other be less sad." "Maybe," Nathan said, kissing each forehead in turn. "Now sleep, bugs. We have a busy week, and then we get to see Melody again on Saturday." But lying in his own bed later, staring at the ceiling of the room he'd once shared with Sarah, Nathan couldn't stop thinking about Victoria Hart. Not the Billionaire CEO version he'd seen on magazine covers, polished, powerful, untouchable. The real version, the woman whose hands had trembled when she watched her daughter make friends. The mother who'd admitted she didn't know if her success made her happy. The widow who understood his particular brand of loneliness. He'd been alone for 6 years. Dated occasionally, but never seriously. Nobody understood what it meant to be a young single parent. To grieve someone while simultaneously being grateful for what they'd left behind. Nobody got the complicated math of being both heartbroken and blessed. But Victoria might. Saturday arrived wrapped in September sunshine. Victoria had considered canceling 15 times, but Melody's excitement made that impossible. Nathan was already at Riverside Park with a picnic blanket and snacks. The girls ran together immediately, leaving the adults to follow. "You came," Nathan said. "You thought I'd cancel. Hoped you wouldn't. Thought you might." He gestured to the blanket. "I brought provisions." Victoria laughed. "I'm usually terrible at things like this. Parks, playdates, normal mom activities." "There's no such thing as normal," Nathan said. There's just what works for your family. They sat while the girls played. Their communication a beautiful blend of signing and speech. What's it like? Nathan asked. Being you. Running a tech empire while raising a daughter alone. Victoria was quiet, watching the girls. Lonely, she finally said. Everyone wants something. My money, my approval, my connections. Nobody just wants me. I want to know you, Nathan said. Not Victoria Hart, CEO. Just Victoria. Victoria looked at her red dress. I don't really have casual clothes. This is what I hide behind. You're beautiful, Nathan said, but you look exhausted. Victoria started talking, really talking, about the pressure, the board members who questioned her, the guilt of 60-hour weeks, the weight of trying to be everything to everyone. Nathan listened without interrupting, without offering solutions. Just listened. Your turn, Victoria said. Tell me about you. Nathan told her about Sarah, vibrant Sarah who'd taught him that disability wasn't limitation, about the difficult pregnancy, the impossible choice, the promise he'd made. Do you resent them? Victoria asked quietly. For being alive when she's not. I did, Nathan admitted. For 3 months. Then Lily smiled at me, and I realized Sarah was still here. In them. She gave me them and herself, the best parts of herself. Victoria's eyes filled with tears. I don't know if I'm that strong. You are, Nathan said. You're here. Still fighting. Still showing up. That's strength. Mommy. Daddy. Melody's hands flew as she signed, Grace immediately interpreting aloud for both parents. Can we get ice cream again? Please. Nathan looked at Victoria with a smile. There's a shop 2 blocks from here. My treat. Victoria started to protest, then stopped. This wasn't about money. This was about letting someone else take care of things for once. Okay, she said. Your treat. Over the next month, Saturday playdates became routine. They texted during the week about everything. Nathan sent pictures of artwork. Victoria sent rants about meetings. They talked about their lost spouses, without guilt. One Saturday, Victoria arrived looking stressed. My mother called, she said, asking when I'm going to remarry. My in-laws do the same, Nathan said. They think the girls need a mother. Do you ever want to remarry? Victoria asked. Nathan was quiet. I want someone who understands, who accepts that Sarah will always be part of me. But I don't want to replace her. I feel the same, Victoria said. David was my everything. And then he was gone. Wrong place, wrong time. They sat in comfortable silence. Then Victoria said, I'm thinking about stepping down as CEO. What's stopping you? Guilt. Fear. The worry that I'll have given up everything for nothing. Or, Nathan said, you could be giving up something that's killing you for something that might save you. Victoria looked at him. When did you get so wise? When 3 little girls taught me that letting go isn't the same as giving up. The moment stretched between them, charged with something neither of them were quite ready to name. Then Melody came running over, signing urgently. What is it, sweetie? Victoria signed back. Melody's hands moved quickly, and Victoria's expression softened as she translated for Nathan. She says Grace told her that today is your wife's angel birthday, the day she died. She wants to know if we can do something nice for you to honor her memory. Nathan's eyes filled with tears. That's very sweet, but you don't have to. Melody was already signing again, and this time all 3 triplets gathered around to add their input. The 4 girls whispered together, a mix of spoken words and flying hands, then presented their plan. A picnic dinner at Nathan's house. Melody and the triplets would cook, with supervision. Everyone would tell stories about people they loved who died, and they'd have a special cake with candles for Sarah. You really don't have to. Nathan started again, but Victoria was already nodding. We'll be there, she said firmly. What time? That evening, Victoria Hart, Billionaire CEO, boardroom warrior, usually perfectly composed, stood in Nathan Cole's small, cluttered kitchen wearing a red dress and an apron that said World's Okayest Dad, helping 4 6-year-olds make pasta from scratch. Flour covered every surface, including Victoria's hair. The sauce was more on the walls than in the pot. It was absolute chaos.